Hello, welcome back to my channel. It's a wrap, aka Yudi here. And if you clicked in, you already know what we're talking about. These are the most notable best reads that I read in the year of 2023 that I just feel like that before we move on to 2024, I need to let y'all know if you haven't last year or even in previous years read, you need to pick up. So let's get into it. Okay, guys, today I am giving you guys the top 5. Yes, I narrowed it down to 5. The top 5 books that I read in the year 2023 that I highly recommend above everything else that I read last year to you all. I also have some honorable mentions because it's actually very hard to get this down to 5, which is interesting because I felt like last year I didn't really have the greatest reading year. Like, I feel like I started off on a high and then by the end I was just struggling. So, okay, let me not waste any more time. Let me get into my honorable mentions. I have like 3 or 4. So let's get into the first one. The first one I have is Sun Keep Rising by Kristen R. Lee. And this one was a young adult novel that came out at the top of last year. This one followed a teenage mother. Her name is Bianca, and she is graduating from high school soon, and she lives with her sister, and she really just wants to have a better life than her mother and, you know, her siblings had. And she knows that she has like the capability to do more, but, you know, life and circumstances just makes it really difficult for her to get on her feet to start living a more stable life, if I can say that. So, you know, she gets into some trouble, but this one I really enjoyed. There is a really, especially by the end, there is a really nice touch on community and people coming through and seeing like the best in you, and also still like transcending despite circumstance that puts you in a more difficult position. Like, Bianca wants to do good, but it's very hard when you got a mouth to feed and things aren't really lined up in your favor, if that makes sense. I'm trying not to give away the book. I really enjoyed it. And if you haven't read it, if you want a good like YA, it is, I think it's sad, but by the end, there's hope. And I just like a good ending that has some hope. And it's not like you feel like the book ends and the person is just left in this hopeless circumstance. So yes, Sun Keep Rising by Kristen R. Lee. I really enjoyed it. I would recommend you read it if you're looking for something YA. So the next book I have is A Spell of Good Things by Ayobami Adebayo. This is another author that there's more authors I'm going to mention, but this is one of the authors that I just feel like is just overall like a really good writer, can really tell a story. I think I also read this at the top of the year. If not, I read at the end of 2022. Stay With Me. Baby, stay with me. Stay with me. A Quiet Storm. A Spell of Good Things follows a dual story. It follows Eniola, who's this young boy whose father has lost his job as an English professor, I believe, and they're really struggling financially, and Eniola feels like that he has to like carry the weight of all that while also trying to get the future, you know, education, schooling, you know, a future that he envisioned before things fell apart for his family. And then we have Ruaola, who comes from a more affluent family. Her dad works in politics, and she's working to be a doctor, and it's very consuming. But she's also in a relationship with, I can't remember her significant other's name, but there is some trouble in paradise. It follows these two, Royal and Eniola, these two dual perspectives navigating through their life in Nigeria, and there's one thing that brings them together. It's kind of like Speed, or if you ever watched, I feel like I brought this up in my review, or have you ever watched that movie, that Mexican movie Amores Perros? Like it gives that. This was another one that I think this one was a slow burn. In the beginning, it was like, what is going on? Like, it was a lot of character development. But baby, by that third, it was really by the third act. The third act, when it hits, like, it really just, it really hits you. That's me being hit, guys. It really hits you. And I just was not expecting it. And I was all like, Miss Ayobami Adebayo, she did another one, baby. She wrote another one. If I could only be half of a storyteller, just an inch. If I only had an inch of the talent. But yeah, I really enjoyed Kunle. Kunle was the name of her significant other. That just hit me randomly. But yeah, but if I only had like a tenth of the writing ability, I would just be... But yeah, A Spell of Good Things, I really enjoyed that. It was just, the beginning was really slow. But the end left an impression, baby. So A Spell of Good Things. And then my next honorable mention is Maame. Maame, if you haven't heard Maame, Maame is the story of a British Ghanaian whose father has fallen ill, and her brother is who knows where, and her mother is like back and forth between Ghana and the UK, mostly in Ghana, and she takes on the burden of caring for her father. But then when her mother returns, she's all like, girl, go live your life, so she ends up moving out, and like she's in her mid-20s, I think, and she ends up navigating like moving out and dating and just life in general. I felt like Maame was like a simmered down Queenie. Queenie was just unhinged, and Maame was just a more simmered down Queenie for me. And I really enjoyed the ending. I felt like I also really like Queenie, but I feel like for the people that are like, yo, Queenie was unhinged, this is a more, I'm not going to say watered down. It's just a more toned down Queenie, in my opinion. So, okay, now we're moving on to, this is my last honorable mention. I know. Did I give y'all 3? I don't know. This is my last honorable mention. Open Water by Caleb Azumah Nelson. The only reason this didn't make it into my top 5 was because, whatever. I'm not going to because then I'm going to reveal my top 5. This didn't come out in 2023. Matter of fact, I don't even think it came out in 2022. But Open Water is these 2 unnamed characters who live in the UK. These 2 unnamed Black characters. And one is a photographer, the other is a dancer. But anyway, they meet at like a friend's party, and from there they have this blossoming relationship. And it really talks about the act of loving someone romantically, and that birth and growth of that relationship. And also it tackles police brutality, but it's so good. It really goes through like the mental gymnastics of love, of being in love, of finding love, while also living in a society that's not very loving towards you. So trying to find the balance of feeling like that you live in a world that does not love you, while also trying to seek love with people. And it's just really, it's really good. It's really good. If you haven't read Open Water, again, if you don't like flowery writing, you will not 9 out of 10 like this book. Let me just give that preface. But it's so poetic, and it's short, and it's impactful, and it's beautiful, and it just really speaks to, I think, just a real place and experience, and it finds the words that you aren't able to find. It's good. It's good stuff. Like, read it. So those were my honorable mentions that I was still very excited for. But let me give you my top 5. So my top 5 were books that, 1, that I really enjoyed, and then 2, I don't really get I really don't see mentioned a lot. Some of these are mentioned a lot, and deservingly so. I'm just co-signing. But some of these I haven't seen mentioned a lot. I had a really good time with it. I just want to add it to, you know, the YouTube verse of the best ofs, that if you're watching all this content, I hope that this book you add to your list and give it a try, and you know, just gives it some more conversation in the webverse. Anyway, the first book that I have is, this might be in order from most to least enthusiastic. Number one I have is, again, Azumah Nelson, his sophomore novel, Small World. Oh, Small World, Small World, Small World. And Small World hit like in a whole... First of all, let me tell you what Small World is about. So Small World follows this character. His name is Steven. If it's not Steven, it's Stefan. I think it's Steven. So he is Ghanaian. I keep wanting to say Ghanaian American. He is British Ghanaian, and he lives with his brother, or it's following his relationship with like his family and loved ones. So he has his brother, his mother, his father, and then he also has like this long time friend that's a girl that kind of blossoms into a romance. But really the book follows Steven from like the end high school years into like his mid 20s, like after college. And oh, it's so good. Also because I feel like that's such a tumultuous, is it tumultuous? But like, just, it feels tumultuous because you're going from like high school and that path that someone else carved for you, that, you know, you have to do these things, to then going into adulthood and envisioning what is my purpose, my future, my life. A lot of the relationships you have when you're like in high school are ones just of proximity, but who are these chosen people that I want in my life, and what does that look like? Like, oh, navigating that and your identity. Like, there's so many themes that's touched on in this book. It is just so good. And the thing with Azumah Nelson, like, it's never like a super heavy dramatic book. There are some story plot twists, I guess, that happen in the book, but it's very much slice of life. Like, it's slice of life, it's flowery, it's like, there's so many good lines in there that's just like, yes, I feel that. To care for ailing parents and loss, dealing with loss, like grief and love. A lot of it is like first love. These are the first real like loving romantic relationships that we deal and navigate with, and disappointment of envisioning a certain life and realizing that maybe it's not exactly going to go that way, and what exactly do I want, but still also being content and finding your purpose, even though it's not what you initially envisioned that would be. Finding love and joy and peace amongst people while we're changing, while people are changing, while the world is changing. But Small Words is so appropriate because the character is literally building his world, navigating his small world, and it's just really good. That's all I have to say. It's really good. It's really poetic. And I wish I could never. I wish I could. If I was able to communicate and write stories that connect in this kind of way, baby, I would not be sitting here. Like, it's just genius writing. I know, I went on this whole long rant. I'm going to cut it down. But Small Worlds was like my favorite read of this year. It just really reinvigorated me as a reader, as a person. But yeah, Small Worlds was another banger. Y'all can't see my bookshelf, but Small Worlds is there. Actually, all these top reads are there, but I thought it was stupid for me to hold up a book if I didn't get the point. All right, y'all. Number 2 on my list is Bear With Me by Kendra Danielle. And this is a Kindle read. This is a Kindle Unlimited read. I don't even think that they have a paperback version. If they had paperback, I would buy the paperback. Okay, yeah. So if you don't have any like ebook reader, it's just, I mean, I guess you could read on your phone, but it's just a Kindle It's Kindle Unlimited, or you can, buy it for like 99 cents. But I'm lying. I've read a couple good Kindle Unlimited reads, but I don't even know how I even found Bear With Me on Amazon. But this story follows a character named Xavier. I think he's a dentist. Oh, he's studying to be in medical school, Xavier, and he went through this like really, I guess, like very significant breakup that he's still working his way through. And just Xavier is just too serious. He's too serious. His aunt is all like, you need to lighten up. You've been studying too hard for this exam. You need to like go somewhere. So she buys him a ticket to go to this resort. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna go. And then there's this teacher. Her name is Denise. And she saved up all her money. She's so excited during the break. She's going to Jamaica. She's going to Jamaica. She's like, I got my money. I'm about to be out. So what Xavier doesn't know, but Denise does know, is that the resort that they're on is a nudist resort. And Xavier's all like, what the hell, auntie? Are you playing a joke on me? Why did you send me to this nudist resort? And then he meets Denise. And there's a whole fake dating trope. He runs into his ex. And and pretty much foolishness ensues. But it's a short read. It's like 240 pages. But this was the most fun romance that I read last year. I bought into Xavier and Denise and how they fell for each other within the fake dating trope. I actually like I normally actually don't really care for the fake dating trope, but I really liked the fake dating trope in this. I like their relationship. I love the banter that they had. I thought the comedic timing in this was just a really good read. I had a really good time reading this, and for everybody who has not found this book on Amazon Kindle, if you're looking for just a really fun, light romance with a good balance of spice, the chemistry between Xavier and Denise was believable. I had a good time with it. But also there was just an element of unbelievable that kept me entertained. This, again, Bear With Me by Kendra Danielle. If Kendra Danielle, she has one other book, I think, on Amazon that it's a novella. But baby, if you ever come out with anything else, you have a fan in me. I'm waiting. I'm interested. I want to know, because Bear With Me was such a fun read. There was some like grammatical errors, if I remember, but it was for me, like, if the story is good enough, like 1 or 2 errors ain't gonna take me out of a story. But if it does for y'all, I'm just giving y'all a heads up that this is, from what I understand, independently written and pushed out. And baby, you got a hit on your hands. That's all I have to say. If you want like a good, fun romance, read Bear With Me. Okay. And the third book I have on my list is My Government Means to Kill Me. This is another book. I think, baby, when at the top of the year, I just came out pow. Like, there were just so many good reads. So, My Government Means to Kill Me. I did a review on this. Actually, most of these, I think I did a review if I didn't mention them in a wrap up. It's by Rasheed Newson. And this follows the story of a young Black gay man named Trey, who is from Indianapolis, but he moves to New York City, and he only has like a few dollars in his pocket. But baby, he moves to New York City, and while he's in New York City, he ends up getting swept up in the activism that's happening with gay rights about AIDS. So yeah, he gets swept up in it, becomes really invested, and pretty much it's just the story it's a coming of age, it's the story of transformation. It's fictional, but it has a lot of real historical reference to leaders, places, moments in history related to the work that was being done towards giving visibility and countering, all the negative things that were happening associated with AIDS and that epidemic. epidemic during that time, during the 90s. Yeah, this one read like a movie. This one I was thoroughly invested in. I think I read this like in a day. Like, you know when you read a book and you can just see it? Like that's that's how it read. It just read very like cinematographic. I feel like I just made that up. But it was just a really good read. I think Trey and his relationships, what he goes through, how he grows. It was just a really well done, told story. And the way that it felt so true, because Trey is going through he's meeting real people. He's in some real like situations that's happened in history, and the way that he's couched in that is just done so well. Yeah, this was just like, if you haven't read this book, what is you doing? Go read it. Go pick it up. I'm telling you, it will get you out of your reading slump. I promise you. And it will get you thinking. And if you're not very well versed in the work done by Black gay men, it really ties in that intersectionality between race and like queerness, like just well. I really enjoyed it. And then the fourth book I have on my list is House of Eve by Sadeqa Johnson. This is a book I read towards the end, towards the later half of the year. This was a really and also because I think also let me tell what the story is about. So House of Eve follows two characters. I usually write it down. I don't have their names at the top of my head right now. But it follows two characters, young girl and a woman. She's in her early 20s, who lives in DC, and then the young girl lives in North Philly. And both of them it's pretty much going through their like relationship. One is in a relationship with a man that comes from like a Black socialite family in DC, while the other one is dating a white Jewish boy who lives in Philly. And pretty much they're having this forbidden romance, and things happen that tie them together. I don't want to spoil the book, but this one was just another one. This is also historical fiction. My Government Needs to Kill Me it's historical fiction, but House of Eve is historical fiction, and it's another one that's really engaging, and you're really invested in these characters and the story, and you kind of wonder if it's true. Like, it just feels so real. The way that they couch these historical facts into fiction is just so well done. I actually have Yellow Wife as well. I have not read Yellow Wife. That's her other book. I think she has a couple books, but I bought Yellow Wife as well because I've heard good things about Yellow Wife. I have not read it, but if you have not read House of Eve, get that in your life. Especially if you just want some good historical fiction, House of Eve is definitely a good one. I feel like I've been talking forever. The last book I have on my list is Daughter in Exile by Bisi, Adjapon. And this one, I went in, I don't know if I had this on my anticipated reads for 2023. So this follows a character. Her name is Lola. She's Ghanaian, but she's working for the embassy in Senegal. And she meets this American soldier, and they end up falling in love, and she ends up pregnant with his child, and he ends up leaving to go like work. He's like sent for active duty. He's gone. So she ends up going to meet him in the United States, and it just hits the fan. The second she touches down in the US, it's just all bad. It's all bad. Like, nothing goes well. But you know what? She figures it out. It's just her kind of like pretty much fighting her way to like stability and figure out her way. Baby. Lola went through it. That's her name was Lola. The character's name is Lola. Lola went through it. I don't want to spoil it, but it's a 400-page book, and I'm 100% sure I read it in a day. I'm pretty sure I did a review. All the reviews I did for that year of my top 5 books I'll link down below. But Daughter in Exile was a good one. It was a good one. Another one that picked me up out of a slump. when I read it, I was unexpectedly like pulled in to Lola's story and all the ish that she went through. Let me tell you, Armand, who is the man she was with, Armand need to count his days. So these are the 5 books that I think, one, will reinvigorate you as a reader. And if you have read a lot and you just like, I just need something to wake me back up, baby, these will wake you up. These will shake you back up into like another book and keep it going. So yes, these were the top 5 reads that really caught you, girl. And let me know what you guys enjoyed reading last year and what you would recommend. I've actually, since I've been like reflecting on the year and some books that I've read and haven't finished or I anticipate reading, I've gotten some really good recommendations in the comments. I really have, that I've added to my list. So yeah, let's just keep the conversation going in the comments. And until the next video, guys, deuces.